Hey everybody, this is Arthur Brown. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Guess what I've been working on, guys? Yes, that's right. I'm going to start my own podcast, and it's going to be real, authentic, genuine, and I'm going to have quite a few different type of personalities, anywhere from a real estate agent to attorney, professional athlete, retired athlete, school teacher, you name it. If you want to reach out to me to see if you possibly get on the podcast, hit me up. Let's do this. I want to build generational wealth. And my podcast name, by the way, is called Legacy Building. That's right, Legacy Building. Thank you, guys. Hello, everyone. This is Arthur Brown. Welcome to my podcast, Legacy Building. Today, I have probably one of the most favorable people. I mean, favorable as in my life. I've known this young lady 25 plus years. She actually helped me buy my second home 25 plus years ago in an area called Green Valley Ranch, which is in the Denver metro area. And we'll dive more into that. But Angela, I don't know what to say. I'm just going to kind of introduce her right here. We're going to get kind of deep because she knows all of my kids. I know all of her kids. I don't know all of her grandkids yet. And she don't even look old enough to have grandkids because they think her daughter is her sister. Yeah. Angela is probably one of the best well-known real estate agents in the Denver metro area. Not only that, she's a real estate attorney. She has her own business. She's on multiple boards throughout the Denver metro area. Angela has a passion not only for real estate, but for people. Her husband is a pastor, so she's a first lady of a church. Her schedules are crazy. She has a wealth of experience, but most importantly, I love her energy. Mm-hmm. And she's got the group right here who's putting this together. She's just got everybody rolling. And she don't even drink coffee. I'm just playing. She does drink coffee. Mm-mm. Yes, she does. Don't let her for you.
Tea.
But she doesn't. Yep, tea. Tea. She drinks tea. Like I said earlier, her husband is a pastor. She's first lady of the church. Her schedule is probably one of the busiest schedules I could only imagine. But most importantly, she always finds a way to make time for people, no matter what. If I'm texting her 8:30, 9 o'clock on the deal, or if I'm just talking to her about life, and she doesn't know this, but every time they have service at her church, and she knows what she does, she sends me the actual service for that day. And I look through it, and it moves me. It really does. I've known Pastor Hall, forever, and we have something in common. Pastor Hall's wife passed away of cancer, and I knew her, and then of course my wife passed away of cancer. So it's kind of crazy how this group of people have this bond in place. But without further ado, Miss Angela Hutton-Hall.
Well, that's quite the introduction, Mr. Brown. But thank you for having me on the podcast today. And I want to just remind you that I did sell your first home in Green Valley and then helped you purchase this house, which we are in right now. So it's been a pleasure to be able to have you as a friend and a client. So that we'll put that out there first. And I love your family, my kids, New York kids. And so it's just been a history of us together. But one of the things I wanted to say about us back in the day when we first met, we started a team called Team 2000. And we were progressive back then, way before people were doing teams and doing, now we see organizations doing home buyer education seminars, all of that stuff. And we started that years ago.
So why did we call ourselves Team 2000?
We started in 2000.
There we go.
And, we don't want to say that. It's been that long.
It's been long.
So you've known me for more than 25 years.
Yeah.
So
that's true. You're absolutely right.
It's been a long time. And being a Denver native and being able to meet other people on that group, because we had realtors, we had mortgage person, we had a tax person, attorney, and insurance. And we went from church to church and did presentations. And I'm not quite sure why I was the only female in that group.
Because you carried yourself so well that you intimidated most females.
Oh, is that what it was?
So the only way you could latch on would deal with males, right? No,
right. Well, I don't know what it was, but it was a team of males and myself. Let's put it that way. But I'm honored to be here. And like I said, being a Denver native and worked with Arthur for many years, we partnered with buyers and sellers, and he even did my refis and a lot of my, and I've been in the same house. He tried to encourage me to come out here, but I never did. I still live in Green Valley.
Yes, you do.
And I still love it. But it's been a long history, and so I'm very excited to be here.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
We're going to jump right in it.
Okay.
The first question I have for you is kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I started off a little bit by saying I'm a Denver native.
Nope, we're going to take that a little bit back.
Oh.
Take a little bit back.
A little bit.
Yeah. So how many siblings you have?
Oh, you want to talk about that? Oh,
Tell
sure.
everybody a little bit about your mom. How old is your mom now?
Absolutely.
There we go.
Again, I'm a Denver native. I'm a first generation Denver person because my dad is from Oklahoma, he passed away in 1992. And my mom is still living and she is 92. She turned 92 in December, praise God. And so she is a Georgia native. So I'm a first generation.
Did not know that.
Colorado native. So my kids are second generation. But I have 8 siblings. I'm number 7. So I have 7
now
siblings.
You see why
I'm
I
number
wanted
8.
to know about the siblings, guys.
Yes, I'm number 7. There's 8 of us. There's 4 girls and 4 boys. And being number 7, I thought was like the divine number because I was also the first college graduate in my family. I'm first generation college student.
Wow.
And I didn't know what that meant. Now here I was going down to school in Atlanta at Clark College. I went to a historically black college. And I get there and my first year I'm doing really well. And so they brought me into the office and they said, hey, into the finance office, let me make that very clear. Nothing about my academics. And they said, hey, are you first generation? I said, what does that mean? They said, are you the first person in your family to go to college? And I said, I think so. They said, did your mom go? I said, nope. Your siblings go? Nope. Your grandparents? Nope. Then you're first generation. I said, oh, okay. From that point on, my college finances were cleared. I got a scholarship for the rest of the time I was in college. So I didn't have any undergraduate debt when I came out of college.
Wow. And then you got your undergrad in?
My major was English, and I had a minor in political science.
Okay.
And I spent 1 year of my college in London, England. I got a scholarship to go to London, England. So I was able to go to the House of Parliament and study literature under Shakespearean literature. And so I traveled all around England. I traveled lots of places in Europe. You know, I think I was 20. I turned 21 when I was in England. So it was quite the adventure.
Wow. And then what made you decide to go into that realm of attorneyness?
Well, I always wanted to be an attorney. My big thing was I watched Perry Mason when I was a kid. And if you know Perry Mason, long time ago. Yes, indeed. I was inspired. So I always wanted to be an attorney. So going the route of an English major and a political science minor, an English major will allow you to understand how to write effectively, be analytical. And when you're an attorney, you better be able to write as much as you can. And that's what we do.
Got it.
So this is why I became an English major, political science minor. And that's how it came about.
Perfect. So we know we got you down real estate agent. We have you down as attorney.
Yes.
Give me a couple of more things you do.
Oh, okay. Oh, and also I'm a DU graduate. I came back to Colorado and I was accepted to several schools around the country. I decided to come back home. And I had a full ride scholarship, which I still believe I should have taken advantage of, to University of Miami, Coral Gables Law School. And I never took advantage of it. And the admissions counselor called me and said, why are you not coming to Florida? Full ride scholarship.
That's when the football team was really good.
Well, there was a lot of other stuff going on in Miami as well. So that's why my family was like, I don't know if we want you in Miami. There are lots of things happening with the cartel. I mean, there's lots of things happening. So I did not go, but I got accepted to most law schools that I applied to. Cool. So I came back home. So now with the real estate broker, real estate attorney, and now I am working on, I'm a co-principal of a company called New Level Energy. And what we do is EV charging distribution, and we work on some solar farming as well.
Jack of all trades.
We go and we come, and so I had no clue that I was going to get into this business. But I think when you're an entrepreneur, you take risk.
Yes.
And you decide, I always say, if you can read, you can learn anything. So I'm learning it as I go. But one of the things with New Level Energy is that we are a minority woman business enterprise, and we did get our certifications. So I worked on the certifications, and we have all of our certifications. So if people understand what MeBe means, it's minority women business enterprise.
Okay.
And we also have been certified as a emerging business enterprise, small business enterprise, and a disadvantaged business enterprise. So we have all of our certifications through the city and county of Denver.
How did you make that work? Was it just because you were attorney? No, I'm just
no, not really. It was a lot of work, but we have to turn in a lot of information. It took me about 4.5 months to get those certifications.
Wow.
But it was worth it because now we are what's called a engineering, procurement, and construction firm. It's called EPC. That's a new buzz term. So we have a team of people that work with us, even though we're the owners of the company. To be a small business enterprise, and especially minority women business enterprise, you have to own 51% of your company, and we do. So there's a partner with me, my partner Michelle Levine. She and I started the company, and we have the backing of some people who are experts in their field. Around the country. So we have the ability to do engineering, procurement, and construction. That's what we're doing. That's a whole lot to say. The minute I updated my LinkedIn account and put that I was part of an EPC, the number of inquiries and number of people that wanted to work with us was mind-blowing. Blew us through the roof. So much so that we were able to go to the Denver Auto Show last year and be the only charging station. The only charging station that was charging the test track cars.
Wow.
They called us back again this year, so we're doing it again this year. And
are you guys publicly traded yet? Because I would love to buy some
Not yet. We're getting there. Okay. Yes, we're getting there once. And wait, so here's a PSA. Once we become the publicly traded company, we will need investors, and we will need to go and we will send out a portfolio. So
I know
how about
you will.
that?
Look at you guys see that straight by the book. I love it.
We got to do everything by the book. We don't want to do anything on the table. So it's been a lot of things I've done. I've done executive director positions. I worked with Oakwood Homes. I ran their nonprofit organization for 7 years.
You did a lot over the years.
I did over the years.
And the one main reason why I have you here, and thank you by the way, I wanted people to understand that you're not just a real estate agent. You're way more than that. But with that being said, I want to dive into real estate because I think we see a lot of real estate agents out here and they love the title real estate agent, right? But unfortunately, a lot of times they struggle. They're not in the business for long.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of times where real estate agents take advantage of the situation. And what I mean by that is, let's talk about this and let's just be real. You might have a client who just lost their husband.
Right.
And all of a sudden, they don't know if they could keep the house, if they could sell the house. And then all of a sudden, you got this real estate agent that walks in and says, you know what, I'll sell your house for nothing. Let's be real. Is anybody selling anything for nothing?
No.
Okay, so kind of walk me through that process, because I know you've got stories, Angela, and I've known you've seen situations where people have been taken advantage of. So for me, I want them to understand what is the true duties of a real estate agent from start to finish with a potential buyer.
Okay, or seller.
Yes, or seller.
One of the things I think is important is to get to know your client. I mean, what's really driving them to either buy something or sell something? And then I always say to my agents, you are going to be a one-stop shop. You have to be a resource person. So if there's a situation like you just described, let's say somebody they became recently widowed. The next step shouldn't always be, let's sell the house. Let's talk about how do we keep that person in the house? Is there a refinance option? It's not about
reverse mortgage.
Reverse mortgage. I mean, they could be that age to get reverse mortgages. So you have to always educate yourself and think about what can you offer that client? Because everybody's situation is unique. And the other thing it does, if you become a resource for that person, when and if they do decide to sell or buy, you're that person. And you didn't just come in like the ambulance chaser or the, trying to get that next deal or trying to get that next commission. And if it drives you to help people, it shouldn't be based on commission. I always say my real estate is a ministry. I want to be there to help people in their time of need, whatever that is. Because I believe in planting seeds, you reap what you sow. So if you sow good seeds and you have the ability and you have the education to do it, then offer them something different. Be a person of options. Give them options. Don't always be looking for that next deal. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that next deal every time. It could be that you're helping them. They'll give your name to somebody else. And that's how my business has been thriving. I've actually gotten more referral business without being an advertiser, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Because people say, oh, no, she's thorough. She knows what she's doing. And I want to be that person. So I educate myself all the time. I go to classes. I read. Whatever it is, I call you, what's to do programs, Arthur? What are we doing? I mean, can we do this? So whatever that is, be able to have a toolbox that when somebody comes to you, you can open up that toolbox and go, okay, what do you need? You're not going to just prey on their weaknesses and say, okay, here's another deal for me. Let's just list this person's house. But where's that person going? Have you talked to them? Have you sat down and have a conversation? Before you even talk about sales or buying, get to know who they are.
First, and then one of my videos that I did is understanding and knowing how to get pre-qualified before you even go out. So my question to you, Angela, to the people, why should that buyer be pre-approved before, or even not even so much pre-approved,
right?
Pre-qualified first before they get it pre-approved for you to take them out and look for a property?
Well, first and foremost, you want to know what price range. You're not going to show somebody who is qualified for $450 a $1.5 million house.
Have you did that before?
Oh, no. No.
That's why I love this girl. Here we go.
We're not wasting time. The other thing is your time is valuable, and they ought to see that. So if you come to a buyer, I don't walk out with a buyer until I have a pre-approval letter. We've had a conversation. Where do you want to go? I'm not going to be, I always say, I'm not the tour guide for the homes this weekend. We're not just going to go see homes just because you want to see them. If you don't qualify for them, we're not going to go, because it's not the great use of any of our time. We want to make sure our time, that's the one thing you can never get back, is time.
Yeah,
correct?
Absolutely.
You can lose money, you can gain money, but you can't get time back.
I think and you're absolutely right, and I think the hardest client to deal with sometimes is the one that they think they know their price point of where they want to buy. So they've already been looking at houses for $600,000, $700,000, and then you send them to me. I'm like, Angela, they only qualify for $400,000. So all of a sudden, now I'm meeting with this client for the first time and telling them $400,000. You know what they're telling me? Oh, he don't know what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go out and look for 6 or 7. All of a sudden, I'll go back to you, Angela, and say, okay, they're at 400, Angela. How do you handle a situation like that?
I have to tell them. It's like, look, until you show me a letter that says you are qualified for more than what we've talked about, even you and I, and if they go to other lenders, I can't stop them from doing that, but I need proof that you have buying power at that higher level, because there's no way I'm going to keep showing you properties. No,
I love
my time is valuable, and they should value our time. Yes.
One thing Angela brought up earlier, and you guys probably missed it when she brought up Oakwood Homes. So Angela is really diverse, if that's the right word to use, when it comes to new build, existing, pre-existing. I want to kind of dive, because here's the deal. I'm running into this a lot, where in this market, let's be honest, we don't have a lot of inventory right now. Interest rates are higher, which in essence is kind of bringing the value of the homes down just a little bit, depending what area you live in. And so I have it where people are saying, I want to buy new build, or I want to buy pre-existing. And pre-existing, guys, means that the house is already built, done and everything. What do you tell a client when they're looking at, Angela, should I buy new build or should I do pre-existing? How do you look at that? Again,
we need to see where they are in price point. And existing, we can talk about a lot of things. The areas, some of the new builds are not in areas that have amenities yet.
What do you mean by amenities?
So if you're looking at where we're expanding to, for example, we're on the other side of E470 at this point. There are no grocery stores, there's no, just amenities. You don't have anything. Kind of like Green Valley when we first got there. And we had to wait. We didn't have a grocery store. What was it, the barn store we had right there on Tower Road? That was it. So now you got to, again, get in their heads. What's most important to them? Are they willing to wait it out? A lot of people left Green Valley, if you remember, when the golf course didn't come on right away, when we didn't get the amenities, restaurants, schools, good schools, just a basic grocery store, even a Walgreens. We didn't have a Walgreens. We had nothing in Green Valley. So again, we have to talk about what that looks like to them. And if they want new, because they want a brand new house, but then you go to some of these pre-existing homes and they've done remodels, they've done amazing jobs. So I say to them, the reason how I handle those clients is, what's really important to you?
Got it.
And then you have to start there.
Well, and I bring that up because I think a lot of times with buyers, they're enamored with the opportunity of buying new build, but they fail to understand that, okay, you get new build. It might be a situation, number one, they're not adding in window coverings. Sometimes they're not doing your backyard.
That's right.
Sometimes they might not even be doing your front yard.
That's right.
So now you add those costs in, and you just moved into the house, you got down payment assistance, the builder paid all your closing costs, but now you have no money because now you have to get all of these internal things done.
That's right.
Right? So it's about us educating those buyers, letting them know the pros and cons behind buying new, buying existing, and not.
Oh, absolutely. I agree, because that's the other thing they don't understand is when an existing home is there, you do have some history of it's stable. You know the neighborhood, you have mature landscaping. You go to those new places, you have to do everything from scratch. And so if they don't have that budget afterwards, I've seen people living in houses that have like paper on the windows because they can't afford to get the blinds. I'm serious. And they have to get those paper blinds from Home Depot and keep those for a minute and then move on from there. So then again, getting to know your clients budget wise and just saying to them, hey, this might not be a great idea to go into new, because let me tell you, the other expenses that you just enumerated, those are things they don't think about. And we have to be the ones to educate them, because we've both been through the new home buying process. We've bought existing homes, and we know the difference between what that looks like. So again, education is everything.
Now I'm going to throw something out at you, and I think that the listeners want to hear this. Why do they need a real estate agent to go out and look for a home?
Oh my goodness. It's a loaded question.
And I'm going to add to that, why do they need an agent to help them sell their house?
Absolutely.
There we go.
You need an advocate that works on your behalf who knows the industry. If you, for example, as a buyer, go out by yourself, even in a new build, or if you go out and try to buy it on your own, you're going to work with a seller's agent who has that property on the market. Guess who that seller's agent is dedicated to? The seller. So if you think you have the bargaining power, you think you can do it on your own, and you know all the ins and outs and the things that can come up in inspection, title issues, appraisal issues. There's so many things that we know as professionals that if you don't work with a buyer or seller's agent, then you're really not doing yourself a service. There's a lot of things happening with agency commissions and all that stuff. Aside from everything else, you need an advocate on both the buyer side and the seller side.
So, interesting. And the reason why I say interesting, I had a client years ago. He said, I know this agent is not going to charge me to go out there and look for homes, but you know what? I want to go and find my home on my own, right? So he went and found the house. He was already pre-approved, everything. I closed the deal. A month later, he calls me, basically literally crying over the phone. I said, Chris, what's going on? He said, they didn't do a sewer scope. I said, sewer scope? What do you mean? He said, they should have went down, checked the sewer scope, then ran out to the middle of the street. Come to find out it was $30,000 that work needed to be done to get his plumbing functional in his house. Whereas if he had an agent like you, that would have been a situation that would have been handled during the inspection. So guys, when you hear that, those are that's just one story. I know Angela has multiple stories.
Oh, I can tell you.
And does it cost them anything to use you as an agent?
No. Some agents have where they want you to reimburse them for gas and mileage, all that crazy stuff, but that's very rare. I've not seen that, but they have the ability to do that. But it doesn't cost them to have us work on their behalf. Again, an advocate. And even on a new build, as you were saying that story, just as we're on that sewer scope issue, let me remind people, when you're in a new build, you also need to have your independent inspection.
Thank you.
Because I have seen it, my own daughter, as a matter of fact, bought a house. I had her do an independent inspection prior to their walkthrough. They found out the sewer line already had a belly in it.
No way. Before she even moved in. Brand new. So hear me out, audience.
Brand new, you still need to have an independent inspection aside from your walkthrough with the builder, because again, who is the builder representing? Who are those representatives going to protect? It's not about protecting you, it's about protecting the builder from additional expense. So it's worth the other $600 or $700 it's going to cost you to get your independent inspection, because if you find something like my daughter did, there was a belly in they had to literally come out and dig in the street to fix the belly. But if they had lived there for a number of years and all of a sudden the sewer line started backing up and they didn't catch that in there earlier, they would be paying $30,000, $40,000 to get that fixed.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. So Angela helped me, like she said earlier, buy this house. Amazing house. I've been in it for 22 years.
That's right.
And Angela remembers a story where I moved in here. Within 30 days, I was already finishing my basement, guys. I wanted my basement finished because the prior house, my basement was finished. All of a sudden, probably maybe a month into starting my basement, my house started to shift. Yes, you could see cracks in the wall, you can see cracks in the ceiling, and God willing, we had a warranty.
A warranty, that
on the
building
house,
warranty,
yes.
yeah.
But the thing is, people don't understand, just because you have a warranty, that's great and all, but if you got your basement finished, how do you feel to see somebody come in and dig up 3/4 of your basement? Right? And not only that, you just put all that money into finishing your basement. And then to top things off, they have to go to the garage and dig half of that up. What they had to do, guys, was put new pillars in, reinforce it so it doesn't continue to move.
Absolutely.
And so what I'm trying to get you guys to understand, and Angela would tell you, is it's great to have a warranty. It's almost like when people say, oh, I got insurance. Okay, they got insurance, but if somebody breaks into your house, you can't get those antiques back.
No.
Just because somebody writes you a check, you can't get that stuff back like it was, right?
That's right, that's right.
So no, I'm glad you brought that up, especially when it comes to the building.
With new builds. And with new builds, just know that you do have structural warranties. They've anywhere between 8 and 10 years on the actual structure, and then a 1-year warranty on some of the mechanics in the house. So you're talking HVAC, you're talking plumbing, those types of things. So when you're brand new into a brand new house, use everything as much as you can that first year. So any bugs come out of it, you go back to that. Do you see what I'm saying? They go back to that builder so that you're not having to take it on your own.
Angela, I'm going to say this. I don't know too many people that wear 2 hats like Angela. Every now and then, probably maybe once every 2 or 3 months, I'll get an email from somebody within my company saying, hey, do you know of a real estate attorney? You are a unique individual. Can you kind of tell the audience a little bit about how does your real estate background tie into your attorney background that makes your job that much more easier, but most importantly, important?
Absolutely. So when I came out of law school, I was actually an environmental attorney. So I worked for the Environmental Protection Agency. I worked out at Rocky Flats. And interestingly enough, some of the housing that's being built by Rocky Flats, I know so many issues about those things out there. So I think with my experience, most of it is a synergy. They're all connected. So I went into real estate law once I started working with Wayne Vaden over at the Vaden Law Firm, which is now City Park Law Group. So then when I started working there, he brought me in and we started City Park Realty. So one of the things is I can't be both in the same transaction. It's not ethically
You cannot.
Okay, I cannot. But when you send people to me and ask them, they're asking me questions about real estate law questions, I can refer them to somebody in my office.
Got it.
Which means, and I try not to mix the two, because if I end up working with that person and then down the road having a real estate deal with them, that's really a conflict of interest.
Got it.
And we do have a affiliated business disclosure that we give all of our clients in case they do have that issue, if they work with us on the real estate side, or vice versa, start on the law side and then come to the real estate side. So it's been a wonderful combination of having my law degree and having my real estate broker license, because those do have a lot, contracts. Real estate is nothing but contracts.
Yep.
And we interpret those provisions different ways. People go into court for those reasons. So we're there to help. And I think being a real estate attorney helps me to help my clients as well. Because I always say in my disclosure, if you know my contracts, there's in the additional provisions, it always says that either I'm your seller agent or your buyer agent. But in this transaction, I'm seller's agent or buyer's agent, licensed in the state of Colorado, but I'm also a licensed attorney in the state of Colorado. But for this transaction, I will only be providing services as those connected to a real estate broker in Colorado.
Perfect.
Those are the things I have to disclose because I am an attorney. So if somebody ever comes to me and says, oh, they always say you can't practice law as a real estate agent. Well, I have to make sure that fine line is not crossed.
Got it.
I know contracts really well. I can say things in a real estate contract that could be, a fine line for me, but I don't, because that's why I put the disclaimers in every one of my contracts. I have that disclaimer. But it's been a great combination to have. Yeah.
So I'm gonna have you put your real estate attorney hat on for a moment.
Sure.
What's the one? Give me like your top two that you see that people are like honestly being taken advantage of in this real estate market when they're homeowners and maybe they just don't know. I didn't know I was supposed to sign that. I didn't know that by me taking my mom off title, all of a sudden, if my dad passes away and then she passes away later, I'm just here and I can't figure out who I'm leaving the house to. Can you dive into something like
absolutely.
that?
Number one is check the title of your houses. What is going on? People don't realize And I should really say your parents and grandparents.
So when you say check the title, how can they check the title? Number one, I know, but how can they check the title?
They can
and then
go
why
to
do they need to check the title?
Whatever county you're in, you can check your titles. You go there, type it in, denver.gov. You could go to Aurora, or Arapahoe County, or Adams, wherever it is. You can always go to the public trustee's office and get your title information.
And they're checking it for what purpose?
Checking it to see how you hold title. You could be joint tenants, you could be tenants in common, you could be lots of things. You could be in severalty. So let's just talk about them just real quickly, just briefly. Joint tenants means you have a right of survivorship. So if you're in a marriage situation, you can say, we're taking the title as joint tenants. So if that person passes away, you get all of the title, all of it. If you're tenants in common, you only get that portion that belongs to you, and that other person's heirs and successors can actually come after that title. If you're in severalty, then it's all you. Nobody else has to come into the deal. So it's very important to know how you have title. And if you don't feel like you have it correctly, you can always change it through a quitclaim deed. Let's say, for example, there is an aging parent and you want to be on title with that parent. There are some provisions in Colorado where you can actually take joint title with that parent. So if that parent passes away, it will avoid having the property go into probate. And probate, we won't even get into that, but probate is when the courts will decide how to dispose of an asset in the estate.
So right now, when I'm doing my mortgages and on page 4 of the application, I think actually page 3, it usually is joint tenancy.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. If they're a married couple.
Yes, if they're a married couple. But then you brought up severity?
Severalty, by themselves. So that's only you on title. So make sure you're hitting the right boxes and your agent, because when you're writing contracts, when you're writing a real estate contract, that is at the top of the contract. It has the person's name and it says how are they taking title. Perfect. It says joint tenant, severalty, in common, or other.
Got it.
Because it could be a corporation, it could be a trust, and you could do all that kind of stuff too.
So where have you seen it before with it? Someone did it, they took title in common. Yeah. Right? Sure. But they were not married. So theoretically, what happens in that particular case? Well, if they did it in common, then that means they're heirs. So if they have other children from not that marriage, or if they have sisters and brothers, if they have other relatives, if that person passes away, they have rights to that person's half of the property because they're in common. So the common means we have it in common, but joint means we own it together. So if one person goes, that person's share goes automatically to the other person. Got it. So some people might want to, as they're listening to this podcast, check out how you have your title. Oh, well, how's your property title? So you might be listening up here because this is going to be woo. So I run into situations a lot, and so I'll give you an example. You have a boyfriend and a girlfriend. Oh yeah. They buy a house together. 2 years in, it ain't working out. Not working. We're in the down market. So they bought the house for $350,000. Now the house is only worth $300,000. They're staying together. How do you handle that situation? Well, again, they're tenants in common. They both have to sign our listing agreement. Yeah, but the thing is, they're ready to sell the house. They want to get rid of the house. And they can, and they both have to sign the listing agreement. And a lot of times, because they're at odds with each other, I've had this situation as well. I've had to go and get somebody to sign so we can get this house on the market. We had to separate the two, but it's not in their best interest to have it in common, which is why a lot of these youngsters, I should say, because I'm an older person now, I can say that. I'm not a millennial. Gotta be really careful how you take title. But this is the part, and I apologize, guys. Yeah. For me, it wasn't so much the part of the title. This is kind of where I'm getting at. They bought the house for $350,000. Now it's only worth $300,000. Oh, the deficit. Yes, yes. There's a deficit. Yes, yes. They're ready to break up. They bought the house. That wasn't your husband. That even wasn't your fiance. Right, right. How do you handle that situation? What advice do you give people? Oh my goodness. Well, I would say because you're upside down. Who's going to come up with that deficit?
You handle it by calling them and saying, here's the reality of your situation. Educate them.
Yeah.
This is where you are. Your house is only worth this much. You guys owe this much on the mortgage.
So you're $50,000 in the hole.
Right. What are we doing?
Okay, so if you want to sell your house, that means what? You got to bring $50,000 to the table. Not only that, you got to bring the commission for the agents to do that as well, right? And the reason why I bring this up, guys, is because this is just me. I'm old school. I get that you're a boyfriend and girlfriend. I get that.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but it makes me nervous when you buy a house when you're girlfriend and boyfriend, because I've seen it way too many times.
That's right.
That the house either is not upside down, it could be $50,000 more that you guys split $25K. Something is still going to go wrong. So I've always told the young folks, because I'm getting up there in age too, right? That if you're going to buy something, typically I would say, let that person be your spouse.
Absolutely.
I mean, you tell me.
It's like common law, do something that makes it so that you have a joint tenant.
You don't have to marry the individual, but yes.
Right.
You got to be able to protect yourself, because if you don't protect yourself, it becomes chaotic. Then the parents get involved. You got attorneys. They're sucking you dry, and all of a sudden you're like, you're not $50,000 in the hole anymore.
That's right. Take it as joint tenants, because if you're living together, think about this. In Colorado, there's a certain amount of time that you actually become common law married. So again, got to be smarter. If you're going to do joint tenancy and you're living together, that might be an option for you. You just got to understand what that means. If you're going to hold yourself out as a couple and people think you're married, then in Colorado, you're married. Married. So there's a lot of legalities behind it, and there's a lot of nuances. So I don't want to say a blanket statement, but they have to be smarter about how they take title. Yeah, absolutely.
Negotiating commissions. I want to jump into that really quick.
Sure.
I think there's buyers out there who feel like, once again, they're not going to have any money that feel like they have to come out of your pocket to have you be an agent. However, if you're a listing agent and sellers are saying, hey, Angela, we want to really use you, but we only want to pay 4% in commission. How do you handle something like that when they're trying to negotiate your commission?
Well, first of all, with commissions, it's an antitrust violation to talk about how we get to commissions on some of this stuff. But what I would say is, with the commissions structure as they are now, there's no guarantee of commission anymore. Because of what's happening around the country. There's some people that believe that sellers shouldn't pay buyers agencies. So it's going to be a lot of negotiation. You have to do that. You have to say, hey, what I would say to people is, remember, you're a value-added proposition to their transaction. Remind them that you're a professional, that you deserve to be paid, and whatever commission that is that you guys negotiate should be commensurate with your experience and what services you're going to be giving to them. That's what I would say, because there's no way we could say there's a 5%, 4%, whatever that is, because that's an antitrust violation. But we can all say we can negotiate that based on what you're going to provide for them and what your expertise is in the market, and just remind them that, hey, this is a market where you want these buyers to come to your house.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have a buyer's agency commission involved, you may not get the pool of buyers you're looking for. So you really have to show people the ups and the downs and the pros and the cons of doing what they think they should be doing in their own hands. It's just like dealing with the for sale by owner. For sale by owners have to still either come around to us at some point to get their contracts and get, they don't know the whole title, all of that stuff. And so we're here as experts is what I want to really emphasize. So experts, just like you pay your doctor, just like you pay any other service provider, you need to start looking at paying your agents who come with the expertise to help you get through this market.
Perfect. And I'm just going to piggyback really quick on what Angela said. When you say experts, Angela has came to me many of times and said, Arthur, we have a buyer. They only have $1,000 in their pocket. We need to figure out a way to get them into a home. And I'll go back to Angela and say, you know what? They qualify for down payment assistance. Let's just say CHAFA.
Absolutely.
CHAFA basically covers their down payment. Arthur, guess what? I have a couple listings coming up, and I think the sellers are motivated they'll be willing to pay the buyer's closing costs. So all of a sudden, guess what we just did? We got a buyer into a home with as little as $1,000 out of pocket.
That's right.
Sometimes you can't pay enough for that expertise. So when you're looking at trying to negotiate your agent down, always make sure that agent is going to have your best interest, but most importantly, that agent understands what it takes and understands your situation.
That's
because that person is going to charge you 4%, might not be able to come to you and say, hey, I could get you into a house with $1,000.
Right.
That agent might be like, I got 4%. You think I'm going to help you try to get some money to help you buy a home? Like, no, I ain't doing that because you only pay me 4%. Right. I always like to do a call to action, Angela.
Right.
And for me, I want to make sure I understand what you're going to get across when you say, Arthur, this is what they need to do to get to this point. So if I was to ask you a call to actions for a real estate agent in this market in Denver, what would it be for you to connect with those particular buyers or sellers?
Okay, so as a buyer agent or a seller's agent, you got to be creative in different markets. We all know we went through the 2008 mortgage crisis. We survived even the earlier ones that happened before in the 90s. Yes. And so what I would say as a broker in this market, be creative, don't give up. There's all kind of ways to get your buyers qualified. Sellers are doing remarkable concessions, and you really have to be a negotiator.
Yes, you do.
That's the call to action, I would say. Be a negotiator. Understand what that means to be a negotiator. One is having the education. Two is having the drive. What motivates you every day? How are you going to get up in the morning? What do you say to yourself? Are you that person? I heard a great quote the other day. It said, if I'm in a position that you want to emulate and I've done the work, guess what? I outworked you. So that means if you're getting up early and you're the one staying up late, you can already have an edge. So if you're not motivated in a market where it's down,
you are in trouble.
If you're not, you are in real trouble. Absolutely. As you know, Arthur, people say the market is down and this is happening, but you still see people closing. So somebody's doing something, right? So don't give up. I think this is an honorable profession. Let me say that right here, right now. I did go to real estate school 10 years after law school, and 10 years into being an attorney, and I still do it on the side, but my passion is in real estate. Because I want people, and I hear a lot of your podcasts and you echo what I've said, it's about building generational wealth for us.
Yes.
And if you don't give up on the people who need us out there, I think we are a profession where people kind of look at us and go, oh, they're just making all this money. Well, no, we're being of service to you.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure that we help you help your generations down the road. You don't ever want to leave this earth without leaving something.
Thank you. And that's what we're trying to get across.
And it doesn't have to be a material thing most of the time, but we do want to have legacy in finances, but also how do you carry yourself? Legacy in how do you work with people? How do you deal? Your reputation is everything.
Huge.
It's huge. And so you already know, Arthur, I've been calling you. You're my first line to think, God, Arthur, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? And so relationships are important, and making sure that you stand out as a professional. Wherever you go, and I was laughing because when I came in, I had my tag on, and I got this from Muriel Williams. She's like, you got to always be your walking advertisement.
You got to be.
And if you can be in the store, in line, at the gas station, pumping gas. People are like, oh, so what's the market like? I was at the dentist yesterday with my mom. My 92-year-old mother had a dentist appointment. And I walked in, and the lady said, oh, you sell real estate? Because I had my badge on. She said, well, what do you think about the rates right now? We're thinking about doing. That's a conversation.
Absolutely.
That's a potential client. So you have to continue to be your own best advertisement.
Where can they reach you at, Angela?
So we have a website, cityparkrealty.com.
Cityparkrealty.com.
Yep, www.cityparkrealty.com. And you can always call our office, or you can call me directly. Call me at the 303-332-2011. I think I've had the same number since I met you.
Absolutely,
It's been over.
I know it by heart.
And let me tell you why I have the same number. Because people call me. I have worked with people who have kids that were like 6 and 7 when I worked with them, as I've actually sold their kids' homes now.
Absolutely.
So it goes down the road. I keep selling their kids, and so their people, aunties, uncles come to me, same exact number.
Well, guys, that's the reason I want to have Angela on board. Not only she's my personal real estate agent, but she's like honestly one of my best friends. I would not be where I'm at in life if it was not from this young lady, and I mean that sincerely. And I've never told her that, but I mean that sincerely.
I appreciate that. Me too. We've had lots of business and lots of personal things we've done as well. So absolutely.
If you guys need to reach out to Angela, she gave you her information, and if you need it from me, do not hesitate. Once again, thank you guys so much for listening to my podcast. Generational wealth is where to be, and legacy building. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.